Hello everybody, and welcome to YouTube's Scale Modeling channel. In part 7, we're going to assemble the wings, we're going to do all of the seam work. I'm going to show you how I modify the engine nacelles to accept beautifully detailed 3D printed engines, and we're going to attach the wings to the fuselage. So, let's get started. I've got the starboard wing taped up, and the way I did it was I used this thick CA, and I put a drop each on the positioning tabs on the inside that are on the inside of the wing, and then I ran a bead just along the wing, all around it. Just a small bead is all it takes. I did not put any glue on these because I want to be able to adjust those, so I'll use the medium set on here. Just put a drop here once I get this adjusted a little bit. So these are a little bit flexible. You can see it right there. See that? And that will allow me to get these even on both sides so that it minimizes the sanding. So once I put it together, then I had all of these pre-cut pieces of tape, and I just taped it all the way around really tight. So now I can take the tape off, and what I'll do is I'll run a bead of medium set all along this seam line. It's going to take 2 or 3 applications to fill all these gaps, because in some places there's a gap here. So and once I get all of that done, then I'll be able to start sanding. So we're moving along little by little. So the next step will be to position the engine nacelles upper and lower parts and put some drops of super glue in here. And then once I get it positioned correctly, then I'll run super glue along the insides of the bead lines here, and then on the outsides, and then I'll put some 30,000 strips in here, 30,000 by 0.250 on the inside here, to make these very strong so I can work on them. So that's where I am thus far on this wing. This wing has been glued up and some initial sanding has been done, and then I checked the seam lines just along the leading edge and the trailing edge with silver paint to see where I need to do some more work. Now here's what the silver paint does. See that right there? Right there is a little bit of super glue that I missed. And here on the back side, same thing, a little bit of super glue. Let me see if I can get it in the light. You can see it right there. That's what the silver paint does. It'll show you where, right there, see it? Right there, where the disparities and the flaws are, and allows you to fix them. And I just put notes on the wing. There's a little bit of a crack there. I need to put some more super glue in there, and I need to put a little more super glue. There was a gouge there, so I need to put a little more super glue in there. Now, when you put this medium set super glue on the silver, it makes the silver darker. Whoop, there's another section that I missed right there, all the way from there to there. So again, you can, let's see here if I can, silver paint can be hard in the light here, but right there, there's some more. So I've got the initial sanding done, and once I get all the seam work done around the leading edge and trailing edge and get all that done, then I'll turn my attention to working on these. I'm going to lose that detail right there, but I've got photo etch that will replace that. It's from Edward, and what I'll do is I'll glue the photo etch to a 0.005 sheet backing so that I can use tester's glue to position it correctly. And I'll put the sheeting on there, then I'll bend it a little bit, shape it, and then I'll put a few drops of tester's glue on here. And I may have to put a little bit along the edge, but we'll see. So, so far so good. And there's all kinds of photo etch on that sheet from Edward for adding a little more detail to all of these circles and other stuff. And most of it I'm not going to use because I'm pretty happy with the work and the detail that Monogram put on the wings. But we'll see. So, so far so good. This lower wing had silver paint on it. I bought it on eBay. I had to replace this wing from the original kit. So I'll probably do some more, clean this some more with some lacquer thinner. And then, because if you try to sand this out, you're going to lose all this beautiful surface detail that Monogram put on here. And some people will argue that it's not accurate, and they are correct, that the B-29 had mostly butt joints, not lap joints, which helped with its speed. And but I'm not going to mess with it. I'm not going to rescribe these lines. I'm just going to leave it. And with the olive drab and a tiny bit of weathering, it's going to look pretty good when it's done. So, and then once I'm done with these wings, then I got to figure out how to attach them to the fuselage. I want to put extra supports on the inside of the fuselage so that the wing will just slide on and stay in place. So, well, I glue it. So I got to figure out how to do that. But that's the next step. Once I get the wing done, I got to work on the engine nacelles and figure out how the engines, the 3D printed engines I bought from Resin 2 Details will fit on here. I know I got to sand them down a little bit. They don't exactly fit inside the cowlings, but we'll see how it goes. I think, as in all my other kits, I'll make it work, and it'll come out pretty good. I've got both wings done, and they came out pretty good. So the that dark line right there, that's the super glue, and it works really, really well as a gap filler. So it's been sanded, shaped, and polished with fine steel wool pads. So it came out pretty good. And it's the same technique that I've used for all my other builds. And the final shaping I did with a Flexifile, and looks pretty good. So couple things here. That opening, that air vent opening, it had a little flash on it, so I cleaned it up with some microfiles. And the same thing with these air exhaust vents, same thing. Cleaned them up with microfiles. Now, the way the kit is set up, there's a hook that comes out here, and the engine sits in it, and then the cowling goes over it. But the cowling doesn't have very good positive seating, so what I did was I added some 0.08 by 0.08 small sections here, so that now it sits the way it's supposed to, and it gives me a little bit of area to glue to, and yeah, came out pretty good. So here's the other one, and I have them marked because the insides are slightly different in terms of their thicknesses. So yeah, it's looking good. So these will look really, really good when I get it all glued up. So here's the other one. This is the starboard wing, and I did the same thing. And the way they did these, I positioned them with tiny drops of tester's glue and then backed it up with tiny drops of super glue after the tester's glue dried. So these wings are now ready to be glued into place. The other thing I did was, you're going to lose some of these petite raised panel lines here when you do the sanding and shaping with the attachment to the fuselage, so I just went ahead and sanded them off now, and I'm not going to rescribe them. You know, you can see here, I saved this petite race detail. I'm going to lose this petite race detail, but the rest of this, I sanded off and then polished it. So now I don't have to worry about it looking funny with the half of the raised line sanded off. So when it's once it's painting, you're not going to notice it. Your eye is going to see all this other these petite raised panel lines. Now on the B-29, just about everything, all the sheeting on the surface of the fuselage as well as the wings was all butt jointed. So in this case, very, very petite engraved lines would have been more accurate here, but I'm not going to rescribe all this stuff. I'll just leave it the way it is, and after I paint it olive drab on the top and dark gray on the underside, it'll look pretty good. And what I'm going to do with the attachments to the fuselage, this plastic is pretty thick. It's pretty strong. So what I'm going to do is I'll position these one at a time on the fuselage, and then on the fuselage I'm going to add some large strips of plastic so that when everything slips in place, it'll have more of a positive seating, because those wing spars that they provided, mine were warped, and so I had to cut the ends off. But I want more stability. And here's the other thing. The wings are slightly off. They're not exactly the same width. You see that right there. See that? They're slightly off, which is no big deal. So the next step here is to go ahead and work on getting these nice resin 2 detail engines to fit correctly inside here. Right now they don't fit very well, so I need to work on that. And I think that one of the things that will help is removing these pins up here that were molded on the inside for the kit supplied aircraft engines. And then I think sanding this down a little bit on the top will help seat everything correctly. You're not going to see the upside of or the bottom side of these cylinders. So I'll probably sand them a little bit. I had to do a little bit of that on my B-24 build, the Monogram B-24 build with the resin 2 detail engines. And once you put your cowlings in place, you're not going to see the tops of the cylinders. So I think what I'll do is I'll put some, let me make sure I got the right ones here. I'll put this aside. This is number 1. And what I'll do is I will put some sheet plastic here and up to cover some of this opening, so that once I get these to fit inside here, I'll build it out so that I can glue it to the wing, to the engine nacelle. And I'm probably going to have to build it out about that far. So yeah, we're coming along okay. And so this will be the next thing that I'll work on. So we are moving along. We're getting close to gluing the wings to the fuselage, and then we can go ahead and mask it and airbrush it, the olive drab and the gray. I've got the modifications complete on the port wing, and I'll show you that in a second. I've got the cowlings on and the engines installed, but here's how I started it. I put a bracket across here. This is 0.08 by 0.08, and I set it in place with some testers, tiny drops of testers, red tube glue. And when it dried, then I hit it with some super glue, some medium set super glue. So I needed to do this because I needed to glue a disc here, and I needed a backing on this hollow part. So I'll show you the build-up, but this is what it looks like. So these engines move around, which is what I want. I want a little bit of play in these engines so that I can use Tester's tube glue and get about 10 to 15 seconds of working time. So that will allow me to set the engine in place, glue it on, put the cowling on here, and then position it. So, so this is how I did it. I had mentioned earlier I was going to have to build out the engine nacelle area, which is what I did. And let me pull out these engines first. The backing on the engines, I glued 10/1000ths disc so that I can use Tester's tube glue to position them, because Tester's tube glue doesn't work on resin. So I did that. And then the other thing is there's three long rectangular keys in here, and I sanded those down, and those keys are in place to help position the kit supplied engines. So with that, what I did was I put a disc on this backing here. This is 0.030 inch, 1 1/8 inch disc, and then 0.250 by 0.250 evergreen stock. You can see how thick that is. Here are two close-ups of the modifications I made to the engine nacelles to accept these beautiful 3D printed engines. And then two 0.030 discs stacked one on top of the other. Everything is done with Tester's tube glue so that I have a little bit of working time. And now, when I'm ready, I can go ahead and put a few drops here and set it in place, put the cowling on, and then I can put the cowling on and then position the engine. So came out pretty good. I'm real pleased. I thought it was going to be quite a challenge, but I thought about it and it worked out pretty good. So I just need to do, I need to glue discs here and then do the build out, and the wings are ready to then be glued to the fuselage. So yeah, came out pretty good. So I put a little bit of thought into it and it worked out okay. So the challenge is going to be to make sure that these cowlings are positioned correctly on the engine nacelles. But yeah, it's going to look pretty good when it's done. And of course, you know, the exhausts are supposed to be 2 exhausts, and Monogram only provided 1. I tried filling in these areas here on a spare lower wing that I had, and it just didn't come out good. And what I was going to do was just scratch build 2 exhausts, and it just didn't look right, and I lost too much detail, and so I think this is just a better way to do it. You know, I really like these 3D printed resin 2 detailed engines. So there's a lot of nice detail on here that will stand out once I get it all painted. So first thing I'll do here is give it a primer coat with some fleck gray, and that'll be the base coat, and then I can go ahead and paint it up. So yeah, it's coming along, gonna look good. So I'm really pleased with this build-up. That worked out really well. And these clips right here that I put on here are absolutely essential so that the cowling will sit in place on here, and you have glue points. So I think what I'll do is, I think I have some photo etch screening, and I'll just apply a little bit of photo etch screening around each one of these if I can find it. And then that'll hide all of this work here, because you're going to see some of this if I don't. So yeah, I think I'll do that. So if not, I'll just airbrush all of this black on the bottom half here, and it should be fine. So far so good. I really like it. It's coming along good. I've got the port wing glued into place, and how I did it was I set some wedges, made some wedges with some balsa wood strips, marked the approximate locations where those strips needed to go. There's the outer marking, and then glued it in place. So how I glued it was kind of important. I used on the inside here so that it would catch this area, and the bottom part of this protrusion here. I used slow set super glue and just kind of smeared it so that when I pushed in, it would ride along the inside of this area and along the inside of this area here. On the top here, I put slow set super glue so that if it squeezed out, it really wouldn't matter. You don't want to use testers here, because if you use testers here and it squeezes out, you can't sand testers, and it's not a filler. But I did use testers along this top here and this top here, so that when you push in this way, what happens is it pushes the glue inside towards the inside of the wing. So that's how I glued this side. And then once all that glue set, then I ran a bead of medium set across the top, let it dry, put several coats on here to fill the gap. And it's really important to butt the upper area of the wing against the upper area of the fuselage. You want this as flat as possible. It helps set the dihedral on this wing and then on this wing too. So now on the underside, let me see if I can turn this over without banging into anything, because it's awful big. You can see there's a bit of a step here, so I'm going to have to do some sanding along here to get rid of that step. But again, I use medium set super glue under here, and I used a lot of glue to get it to seep down into the seam area and provide a really good bond, and it's nice and strong. And so now I'm ready to go ahead and glue this side. So as I said, I'll use that procedure for the two different types of glue, and I've got a set of wedges set up here, and I've got a special bench set up that allows me a little more room than on my workbench here. I'm kind of limited in my capabilities here because this is a big model. So let me go ahead and I'll get this side glued into place. But again, slow set super glue along this edge here, slow set smeared all along the inside here so it catches the underside of these wing spars as well as this protrusion on the underside, and then some testers up top. Now, the other reason why I'm using testers is it'll set a lot quicker than the super medium set super glue, which takes a little bit longer, and I won't have to hold this so long in place. So that what's important here is that this upper area between the wing and the protrusion on the fuselage are as flat as you can make them. So and that'll set, if you hold it just like that, that'll set the dihedral to both sides and make it almost perfect. So that's how I'm going to do it after I get it all glued together and get some medium set super glue installed on the voids and the cracks on the upper side and bottom side. We'll take a look at this beast. I've got the starboard side wing glued into place, and it came out pretty good too. The one thing that I noticed is that this area here is a little bit wider than this area here, and the same thing here and here. So there's a little bit of a disparity there. but once I get it all sanded out, you're not going to know the difference. I'm glad that I had sanded out these raised panel lines here, and I'll go ahead and run some tape here to protect this area and tape along here to protect the fuselage area. And then I can begin the sanding process, and I'll probably have to put some additional super glue in place here after I get it sanded down and get a first coat of the silver paint on it. Now the underside, and I've got to be careful how I do this, I don't want to bang anything. The underside came out pretty good too, except I've got it it's a little bit raised on this side, so I've got to sand this down and get it flat with the fuselage. On this side, it's the opposite. This piece here that's molded onto the fuselage is higher, so I've got to sand that down a little bit. So I'll be able to do that. Now, the other thing is, that's where the flap starts. So you don't want to put any glue in this area back here. The only thing I got to do is fix this back here. You can see this appendage from the fuselage doesn't match up with the wing. I got it all matched up here and up here, and it's not so bad on this side, but this side I'm going to have to work on it a little bit. So yeah, we are ready. So I know I've got to put more super glue on the underside here, but again, I want to go ahead and sand this down on this side of the wing and this down here, and then we'll see where we're at. So I've seen other modelers build this kit, and what they do is they paint the fuselage, they paint the wings, and then they glue it together. But the problem is you can't fix the seams once you've painted all of this, and the same thing with the horizontal stabilizers on the tail. So that's why I do it this way, and it'll be seamless. You won't be able to see anything here. So we'll work on it, and I'll show you. We'll do them one at a time, and I'll do the top first on both sides, and then we'll work on the bottom. Now for this area here, I'll use this Flexifile and get in there and make sure that that's contoured correctly. So so far so good. And the other thing I did was I had an extra set of landing gears from an old kit, and I put them in place here just to see how it would look. My weight and balance is good, but I noticed this landing gear on the starboard side is kicked out a little bit, so I'm going to have to fix that. And the way I'll do it is the stub that's on the inside of the landing gear that goes into the hole, if I scrape it out a little bit and give it a little bit of wiggle, I'll be able to set it correctly. So, but when we get to that, I'll show you how I do it. But so far so good. Probably about a week or so away from masking and priming. I still need to do all of this up here in the cockpit area, but once I get the wings done, I'll be ready to work on the cockpit. And you can see where I put that extra, let me get it here, that extra piece of plastic right here to thicken this side up. So we are ready. So let me go ahead and get this sanded down and this sanded down, and we'll see how it looks. I've got all the sanding complete, and it's been checked with silver paint, and it came out pretty good. It took a while and several applications of super glue, but it looks pretty good. And now what I need to do is I'll go ahead and pull this silver paint off. I'll polish the plastic with fine grit sanding sticks, and then top it off with my steel wool pads. And now you see why I had to sand off the finely scraped panel lines here. It would look really, really weird with half a panel line. So it came out pretty good. So let me show you the underside. And the way I did this is with these sanding sticks that I've used continuously in all of my builds, and it works really, really well. So just sanding sticks and careful application of super glue beads along the seam lines so that you don't smear it all over the place really makes a big difference. So here's the underside, if I can do this without banging anything. The underside came out good too. So once it's, I got just a little bit right there, and when I go ahead and sand that out with a sanding stick, that'll disappear. That's a little bit of super glue. But yeah, it looks pretty good. So I'll put, I'll go ahead and put white blue tape across here, seal this and this underside, and we'll move on. So once you get it all sanded smooth, and we move to the next step, which is to work on the remaining part of the cockpit. And once the cockpit's done, then I can go ahead and do all of the masking and prime and paint it. So I got to clean the surface really, really well. But yeah, it came out pretty good, much better than I expected for a model this size. So the way I glued it together and the two different types of glue that I used that I explained, how I did that, really made a big difference in terms of the strength of the bond to the wings, to the fuselage. So yeah, it's looking pretty good. And it looks like later this week I'll be able to go ahead and start priming it. But it's going to take a while to do all of the masking on this monster. And this is up here, this is going to be a real challenge. So I'm going to have to go ahead and scrape this paint off here so I can get a good bond all along here. But yeah, so the next step is I'll go ahead, and I've got a little bit of flexibility here, which is what I need on this piece right here. Right there. That's what you want, just a little bit, and that'll help the canopy on this side. So I'll probably go ahead and glue this side first once I get it set up with tape. Just tiny drops of super glue, and it'll work. So we'll progress along. I'll show you what it looks like once it's all sanded and polished and smoothed out with all the tape removed and all cleaned up. Of course, I'll keep these protectors here for these bubbles. So, and yeah, sorry, I keep clearing my throat, but it's hay season here, and it'll be this way for at least another 2 months. And it's very, very hot here in the valley. So a lot of inside time, and I've used my time wisely and got a lot of work done on this. So yeah, this 1/48 scale beast is moving along. I've got the plastic polished, and it came out pretty good. So now, and that dark line you see, that's the super glue line. So here's the bottom. Turn this beast over without hitting anything. Show you the bottom where you can really see those super glue lines. And you can see how the super glue can be sanded and polished. So, yep, it's done. And so now what I'm going to do is go ahead and install the cockpit interior parts. But first I'll go ahead and scrape off this glue, and then I'm going to scrape it off here, here, and here. Those are going to be my my glue points, but I think I'll just do it all in case I need to put some more glue in other areas. So that'll be first scrape, And then I'll put the control yokes in, and then the consoles. There's 2 instrument panels on the side, a seat, and then the Norden bomb sight. And then I'll be ready to do the fuselage glass. We'll see how that works out. So yeah, I mean, it looks okay. There's, of course, a void on this side. That side fit real good, but there's a void on this side, but some of that will get covered up by the instruments I gotta glue in place. So we're almost there. Hello, scale modeling world. Thanks for watching part 7 of our continuing series on building and detailing the Revell-Monogram 1/48 scale B-29. And in part 8, I'm going to show you how I modified the turrets, how I assembled these 3D printed propellers, and some of the modifications I made to the small parts, like the pitot tubes, in order to get them to seat properly onto the fuselage. And I'm going to show you the modifications I made and a little bit of scratch building I did for the exhaust. So with that said, have a great evening, and most importantly, happy scale modeling.